All right, how the heck is everybody doing tonight? Okay, welcome in here, Slaughterhouse Sports, Deion Sanders, unbelievable proposal for college football. I'm ready to jump right on into the story. So Coach Prime has come up with this idea, and he's the first to try to implement it at the college level. So we need to give him credit if this ever gets off the ground. Deion Sanders always steps out on a ledge. He's always, pushing the envelope, and he's always doing things his particular way. And that's what makes him a visionary. It's what makes him brilliant. It's what makes him bold and courageous in so many ways. It also attracts haters. It has high risk of failure. I mean, going to Jackson State had a high risk of failure. Playing, two sports in college and in professional level, that had a high likelihood of failing. But Deion Sanders is different. He succeeds at every level. He's a unicorn in just about everything he does because there's nobody like him. And now, Coach Prime, after winning 9 games at Colorado, a place that just won 1 game, all right, unbelievable turnaround in less than 2 years. They went from a 1-win program to now a 9-3 program, and they lost to Kansas State by like 1 possession. They lost to Kansas by a little bit. I mean, the Big 12 was a really tough league. They were 1 game away from getting to the championship in a Power 4 conference, okay, with some of the best teams in the Pac-12 coming over, like Utah, okay. BYU is a very good brand, so Prime is out here. He's doing work. And, of course, he's going to lose 2 first-round picks. His son was an unbelievable quarterback in Travis Hunter. But getting to Coach Prime now in this proposal for spring practices, I really like a lot of what the proposal entails. He wants to have inter-squad scrimmages between schools just like they do at the National Football League level, and then he wants to turn the spring game into kind of a competition between 2 schools, which has never really been done before, and there really hasn't been joint practices in the springtime. So Coach Sanders he's not saying that this is mandatory. He's saying that he's very interested. He's saying throughout spring practice, and the thing about spring practice is it goes on, I believe, like 14 to 21 days. So Syracuse and Fran Brown, they also reached out to Coach Prime and were interested. And I also know that Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders have a good relationship. And I think that North Carolina, I think that the Tar Heels may also be interested, just like Syracuse, in participating with Colorado. Colorado is the first one to come up with this idea. This is completely Deion's idea, and I think it has potential. I really do to happen over other parts of college football. I think it's very good because I like the part of inter-squad scrimmaging and joint practices, because then you see how your roster stacks up against other players and other programs. You also, as a coach, you get to see how other programs coach. So Deion Sanders is going to get to be around Fran Brown and his excellent staff, and then Syracuse is going to get to be around Colorado's staff, and these two are going to pick up things from each other. I believe that this should take place, too, in the future when there is no transfer portal obligations, because it could get really nasty. I mean, I would never do this. If I was coaching a team and we were having joint practices, I would make like a pact and a truce that I would not try to get these guys in the transfer portal. I mean, some people might be paranoid about some ideas. Some schools are not going to do it because they really want that time to themselves to like work on their, install, and they might not, want to play and have joint practices. They might not be to that stage yet. They might just want to, again, just scrimmage themselves and find out more about their team, since it's a limited, it's a limited amount of time now in spring. So I understand that, and that's why this is not mandatory. It's not really mandatory. For the game itself, I expect it to be kind of like preseason NFL, where you'll have the ones go out, you might have the twos, you'll sprinkle in some different things. It could be a home and home situation. Now, I think the joint practices can be very good, and there could be something where you have a joint practice and then you fly home for your spring game. I think joint practices are very, very advantageous. There's also something that could happen where, say that you're in the state of Nebraska, and like, for example, you have a lot of Division II schools in Nebraska, like Shadron State is in Nebraska. There's Hastings College. I mentioned Shadron. There's Midland, I believe, is in the state. Like there's Iowa Western Community College is right in Council Bluff. So you could have like a big showcase at your college, and you can also, if you're in Iowa can host Northern Iowa. All right. Iowa can host Drake football. So you can invite, you can build up revenue for those schools and have them participate in the spring game. You can collaborate. You can maybe have high school coaches there. You can give advertising dollars. It seems like a positive because you're scrimmaging against somebody else. You're raising money. You're entertaining your fan base. You're also, for the student athlete, it's better because, like, for Colorado players, they're going to enjoy the experience of playing Syracuse, and the Syracuse players are going to get better by playing Colorado, by seeing another opponent. I believe it's going to get better. You can bring in speakers, and I think for Colorado, imagine the opportunity to go and scrimmage against North Carolina. And then maybe if Coach Prime is comfortable enough, or if Bill Belichick's comfortable enough, these coaches can also even give, pieces of wisdom as they're practicing. It doesn't have to even be as nasty as professional practices. You don't need to see like inter squad fights like that. It doesn't really have to have that. It could be very cordial between the two staffs. This will elevate the student body. This will elevate the players' experience. This will elevate coaches. It will allow young coaches to be in a spotlight possibly. It's a really cool opportunity in spring. The downsides, there's not a lot of downsides to the proposal, which is why it's so well thought out by Deion Sanders. The downside to the proposal is that you don't get enough time with your own team, which, again, if you're going through a transition period, or you can just pretty much say, like, hey, you can give them warning and say, hey, I think that we really need like reps ourselves, and I appreciate the offer, but I think that we need reps on our own. But I think that this would just be for a couple of days. So say that spring practice is 15 practices long. Maybe, you have one joint practice, and then you'll go out there and maybe have like a practice open to the public. By the way, if I lived near Colorado and Colorado was practicing against Bill Belichick, you could offer big time tickets to see this limited practice. Like, you can literally offer like a fan or something of Colorado or North Carolina. You can offer them $250 a person, or something pretty expensive if you're going to get this exclusive way to look at practice. If you're going to see this show, you can charge big money to attend Colorado's practice facility. And then there, by the way, if you're worried about, information leaking out, you can say, to the people that are in that room, you might not even allow media, but you can, just like comedians do, listen, if I had to watch a private practice, like, hey, I'll give you my cell phone. I won't film practice. I'll watch it. I don't need to have my phone during that period. If you go to a comedy show, it's the same way. They put it in a little pouch and you don't have it. So these are cool for the fans. It's good for NIL. It's good exposure. I don't think that the NCAA should get in the way of this whatsoever. I think it would be great if this happened this year. And again, it's advancing play, all right? It's getting your team to face a very competitive other team. You get practice with play calls. You get to simulate situations. Like, joint practices are even more valuable than the actual preseason games a lot of times. For the spring game, I understand, too, the hesitancy, like for a Syracuse to just give away their spring game, and for the fans in Syracuse to not be able to go, like it would hurt if it were just at Colorado. Maybe they could always do both. And again, these games are not going to be just absolute, they're not going to be absolute full tilt as 100% full speed. I don't think the starters are going to be playing 80 snaps. You're not trying to run these guys into the ground. You're mostly seeing about younger players. Now, thinking this through, maybe a downside is you might be paranoid if you have a very good third string player and he shows out against the opponent. Sure, that player in the future will be maybe coveted by the school that they're playing against, but also say that you have a coach that is playing, like say that it's Syracuse at Colorado, and say Colorado has a third string wide receiver that's a freshman that's absolutely outstanding, and say that Syracuse's wide receiver coach then gets a offensive staff position at Georgia Tech, then Georgia Tech will be able to have insight into that player. But I guess that happens at every level, and then as the games are going to happen, so the games are going to take place, and eventually you're going to probably find out that player like everybody else is. Eventually you can't be paranoid. Eventually you can't put everybody in witness protection. Like, you're going to have to go out and actually play your best players. So I'm pumped about this idea. I really hope it happens. Like, it'll add to, it'll give media and it'll give players, exciting things, to work on. It'll be good for the sport of college football. Will it be incredible television? It'll be good. The joint practices, you'll learn a lot more, and it'll be interesting to see, how they're conducted. And I think it'll help in the state. I think it'll help out in high school. It'll bring states closer together. I think there's a lot of creativity that could happen here towards the end of spring. But I do believe that those 12 practices that you do have with your team, I do believe that spring practice is very, very valuable. So I would understand hesitancy from coaches to give that time away to have scrimmages. So, but again, it's not mandatory. It's just an idea, but I think it's a pretty good idea by Coach Prime.